All right. Streaming pitchers for this week. Who do you have?
So I picked two. One, he's not officially actually listed as like one of these starters. I don't know what the hell the Los Angeles Angels are doing.
Nobody
But
knows what the hell the Los Angeles
yeah,
Angels are doing, including Los Angeles Angels.
they don't have a starter listed for tomorrow or Tuesday as of yet. So there's a chance that this one doesn't work out. But if you have, and the way I like to look at these streaming pitchers is maybe a guy over the next couple days, because we'll do this episode again on Wednesday or some sort of similar stuff on Wednesday. Maybe we'll look at some guys. So I want to give people, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday kind of starts. So the first one that I think is going to get some run is Chase Silseth for the Los Angeles Angels. Again, he's not listed as one of the starters right now, but I imagine he's going to start on either Monday or Tuesday against the not so scary Miami Marlins. And Silseth had a phenomenal spring. So, and a great end to the second half of last year. He's not going to give you huge strikeout numbers, but he's got the command and control. He's got the stuff to, limit runs. I could see him going 6 innings and, maybe allowing a run or two. And for a guy who's available in a lot of leagues, I think Chase Silseth is a great streaming pitcher for this week. So, I mean, he's rostered in 65% of leagues, so he may be gone already, but certainly somebody to keep an eye on, because I imagine that if he has a bad start here and there, people are going to drop him because they're like, oh, he wasn't good enough anyways. Just keep an eye on him throughout the year, because I think he's going to be good more often than not.
So here's a guy who I have, and he's actually starting today. So it wouldn't, if you're not one of those leagues that you could pick him, you have to pick him up for the whole week. Maybe it's not worth it this week. But a guy who was injured and people had question marks about, but at times has been a really successful starter in his career. Again, plays on a good team, not that old, not rostered in a lot of leagues. John Gray. Uh, for the Texas Rangers. He's starting for them. They're defending world champions. They're going to score a lot of runs. So if you like wins, if that's what your league does, if they do wins, maybe try and get him. If you're doing quality starts, it's a guy who does strike out a lot of guys, throw a lot of innings, and he's done that in his career. And he was dealing with this neck injury, but he's starting the first week of the season. So, he's healthy. So I would say if he's available in your league, you may end up getting a guy who could be middle of the rotation type starter, if not better, for nothing right now on waivers. And so even if this week is not the week, I would just say maybe pick him up right now, because if he comes back in his first start, he looks good, people might take notice. So maybe before he makes that start, and this could be an old takes exposed type of thing where right away, he has a terrible start off the bat, but still, I wouldn't give up on him after one start unless he gets hurt again. I think people are more concerned about his health than anything else. And I think if he's healthy, he's proven that he can be similar to Conforto, not to the level of Conforto, because I don't think he was ever that great. But he could be a really solid MLB starter.
One thing I will caution is so he's slated to start against the Cubs today,
Mm-hmm.
which I'd start him against the Cubs. The Cubs offense has not looked good, but then he is scheduled to pitch against Houston late next week, so probably don't start him there. Even if he looks great against the Cubs, I'm probably not taking that kind of risk. But
That's fair.
I do agree with you that I think John Gray has quite a bit of potential throughout the year as a streamer. So good call out there. Um, I wanted to bring up a game that's for the streaming pitchers. I think you can almost stream both sides of this, and it is happening. What's today? The 31st. Today's the 31st. It's
Mm-hmm.
Easter. Happy Easter, everyone! If you celebrate
Yes.
Easter, if not, have a great Sunday. But the
Thank you.
game that I want to bring up is going to happen then on Tuesday. It is the Cubs versus the Rockies in Chicago, so not in Colorado. Javier Asaad had some good starts last year. Again, he's in the rotation because there's no Talion. Obviously, Justin Steele just got hurt. We'll talk about some injuries here maybe in a second. But Javier Assad is a guy I'm going to keep my eye on. I don't necessarily trust him in the long term, but against Colorado, I'm almost willing to throw anyone, right? Anyone who's pitching against Colorado right now, I'm kind of willing. Okay, I'm going to take that gamble. They're kind of in that, Oakland athletic territory where no matter who's throwing against them, you have to at least consider them as a flyer. And so the reason I want to bring up this whole game is because on the other side of it, and I may get some slack for this one, Rami. I don't know if you saw the opening game between the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. Did you catch that one?
I did catch some of that. Yes.
Yeah. Kyle Freeland started that game, and here I am telling you, consider Kyle Freeland as a streaming option against the Cubs on Tuesday.
I don't hate it, by the way. That you have to be able to do that. Like, even, and this is what somebody always says: get clowned in the group chat for a week. What's the
Yeah.
worst thing, or for a day? Like, it's okay. All right. So he had one really awful start. Let's see what happens. Like,
He's a
this dude he
professional.
was,
Yep.
yeah, and he's supposed to be their their number one starter. Like, he's
Yep.
not going to be that bad. And if people are staying away because of that one start, that's an opportunity for you. Look at that as an opportunity.
And especially he had a phenomenal spring, and everyone was kind of ready to jump all over him. And I think that last start is going to scare everyone off, right? He's only rostered in 25% of leagues.
Yep.
So he's more than likely available. And if he's not available now, somebody's probably going to drop him when they realize, oh, what a horrible start. So he's one. Just keep an eye on. Again, the Cubs right now are not exactly a scary offense. So Kyle Freeland, someone to keep an eye on for Tuesday's game.
Yeah. So, speaking of Arizona, the Yankees are playing in Arizona, and then they're playing at home against Toronto over the weekend. So this guy's probably going to start 2 games this week. And he's also had an awesome spring and won over the 5th starting job for the Yankees. That's Luis Hill, or Heel,
Yeah.
spelled Gil. So if you're looking for him, and he's been awesome in spring. He's always had the stuff. He had I think it was a Tommy John surgery last year that kept him out, and that's why he didn't pitch the entire season. But there's no restriction on him. He's been out for a full year now. I think a little over a year, and he's going to come in. He won this rotation spot for the Yankees. And I have another guy, by the way, Joe Boyle, won a rotation spot for the Athletics. These are guys who I like because they're both guys who won rotation spots, and similar to Oswaldo, have something to prove. And I think their first couple of starts for Hill, again, Toronto could be a tough lineup in Yankee Stadium, but it's colder weather in Yankee Stadium first weekend of the season there. So, like, maybe, it's not, the ball's not flying out there like you're used to. Arizona's lineup has obviously looked good, as you mentioned. But maybe, again, I think he has something to prove. Joe Boyle also. 2 guys who won starting spots, rotation spots out of the gate, and definitely want to keep those spots. They know they're earned, they're not guaranteed, and they want to prove something. So their first couple of starts of the season are going to be important ones for them. And if you can get them for those starts, I wouldn't mind.
And this is one of those, I think this is a great call out. This is one of those that's a win-win for us fantasy baseball players, because if I'm available, if I have the roster space, I want to pick up Luis Heel right now, because he's going to go out, right? And he's going to pitch against the Diamondbacks, good team, and then against Toronto, another good team. And if he struggles, most people, if they picked him up, will probably drop him. But as the season goes on, you're absolutely right. This is someone who earned this job. He's hungry. And if he struggles in those first 2 games, people are going to write him off. But he's one that you just got to kind of roll with for a couple weeks, because once he gets those bad pairings, or, those pairings that's like, this team's not very good, or this team's kind of sluggish right now, he's going to go out and throw, 6 shutout innings with, 10 strikeouts. Like, that's the kind of start that we can come and anticipate for him. And the other reason why it's a win is because if he comes out and he shoves against Arizona and Toronto, well, now he's picked up everywhere, right?
Everyone's
And
going to want to pick him
now,
up.
yes. So he's definitely on that fringe where it's like, you pick up these guys, you take the risk. Maybe you start him, the first game, and if he doesn't do well, you sit him for the next one, and vice versa, right? So, well, not vice versa. If he does well, start him again. But it's one of those, pick him up, take the risk, and give him a couple weeks, because I think that's a good pick right there, Luis Hill.
Your boy Kyle Harrison looked good, by the way. First start,
my boy.
Huh?
Yeah. He did. And he's going to have these. There's no doubt about that. But he's going to have starts where he walks 5 guys.
Everyone.
Yeah.